If you earn $85,000 a year in some U.S. states, you're under more financial pressure than someone earning $60,000 somewhere else. Not because you spend more, but because the cost structure around you has changed. Insurance, housing, utilities, debt. In 2026, financial stress isn't just about income. It's about geography. These are the 10 most financially stressed U.S. states right now. Financial stress isn't about being poor. It's when your income grows slower than your fixed expenses. And in these states, that gap is widening. Texas. Why number 1? Texas has taken the top spot in 2026 as the most financially distressed state in the nation. While it boasts no state income tax, residents are being crushed by some of the highest property taxes in the country and a massive surge in credit account challenges. In early 2026, roughly 8.2% of Texans have at least one credit account in forbearance or deferral, the highest rate in the U.S. The Texas miracle has hit a wall where the cost of infrastructure and housing in hubs like Austin and Dallas has outpaced local wage growth, leaving many families relying on high-interest debt just to maintain a basic standard of living. 2. Florida. Why number 2? Florida is currently the hardship capital of the South. In 2026, the insurance crisis has reached a breaking point, with homeowners' premiums increasing by 40% in some regions over the last year. A U.S. Census Bureau Household Pulse survey reveals that 41.8% of Florida adults report difficulty paying for everyday expenses, well above the national average. Florida also leads the nation in the share of people with accounts in distress. The combination of high inflation on essentials, a reliance on service industry wages, and the added climate tax of rising sea levels and hurricane risk has made the Sunshine State a pressure cooker for middle-class finances. 3. Michigan. Why number 3? Michigan consistently ranks in the top 3 for financial distress in 2026 due to high household debt-to-income ratios and a sluggish recovery in its legacy industrial sectors. While the cost of living remains lower than on the coasts, the financial fragility of Michigan residents is high. The state has one of the highest rates of bankruptcy filings per capita. Workers here are particularly vulnerable to interest rate hikes, as a large portion of the population carries significant auto and personal loan debt. In 2026, the economic anxiety in Michigan is fueled by a lack of diverse, high-paying job opportunities outside of the volatile manufacturing sector. 4. Louisiana. Why number 4? Louisiana remains a fixture of financial stress due to persistent income inequality and a high poverty premium. In early 2026, approximately 11.6% of residents were reported to have accounts in distress, the second highest rate in the country. The state suffers from a double whammy of low average wages and high utility costs, particularly for cooling during increasingly extreme summer heat. Many families in Louisiana are unbanked or underbanked, forcing them into predatory payday lending cycles that create a permanent state of financial emergency. For most Louisianans, 2026 is a year of simply trying to stay afloat in a sinking economy. 5. Nevada. Why number 5? Nevada's financial stress is rooted in its extreme economic sensitivity to discretionary spending. As a state heavily dependent on tourism and hospitality, any dip in national consumer confidence in 2026 hits Nevada first. Currently, 7.5% of adults in the state are experiencing significant credit account challenges, and bankruptcy filings have spiked by nearly 24% year over year. Additionally, the housing market in Las Vegas has become a speculator's trap, where high rents are consuming over 45% of the average household income, leaving very little margin for emergency savings or debt repayment. 6. Mississippi. Why number 6? Mississippi consistently ranks as the poorest state, but in 2026, the stress is being magnified by food and medical deserts. While it has the lowest overall cost of living index, 85.3, the residents' purchasing power is decimated by the lowest median wages in the U.S. This creates a stagnation trap where any minor financial shock, a car repair, or a medical bill becomes a catastrophic event. In 2026, Mississippi residents report the highest levels of subjective financial stress, meaning they feel more worried about their bank balance than residents in almost any other state, regardless of the actual dollar amount. 7. California. Why number 7? California's stress is purely a cost of living crisis. While wages are high, the state has a 134.5 cost of living index, driven by housing costs that are twice the national average. In 2026, the Golden State has a $1.7 trillion household debt burden, the largest in history. Families earning $100,000 a year are often living paycheck to paycheck due to high state taxes, record high gas prices, the second highest in the U.S., and utility bills that have jumped 15% in the last 12 months. For many, California in 2026 feels like a state that takes more than it gives, leading to a massive migration out of the state. 8. New York. Why number 8? New York is the second most expensive state in 2026, with a cost of living index of 126.6. The stress here is concentrated in the housing sector, which is 2.3 times the national average. Beyond Manhattan, the high property taxes in upstate New York and the high cost of heating during the winter months create a year-round financial burden. New Yorkers also face high lifestyle costs, from transportation to groceries, that are significantly inflated. The financial stress in New York is systemic, where the high cost of simply existing leaves little room for the wealth-building activities that previous generations took for granted. 9. Georgia. Why number 9? Georgia has climbed the stress rankings in 2026 due to a rapid increase in consumer debt. As the New South attracts tech and film industry jobs, the cost of living in the Atlanta metro area has skyrocketed, but the state's social safety net and minimum wage have remained stagnant. This has led to a tiered economy, where long-term residents are being priced out by newcomers. Georgia now ranks among the top states for credit card delinquency, as residents use high-interest plastic to bridge the gap between their 2020-era wages and 2026-era rent prices. 10. Arizona. Why number 10? Arizona is a new entry to the high-stress list in 2026, primarily due to the climate and cooling tax. As temperatures in the Southwest reach new records, the cost of electricity for air conditioning has become a major monthly debt driver. Arizona's cost of living index has risen to 108.8, with housing costs jumping 25% faster than the national average over the last 2 years. The state's reliance on a retirement and construction economy makes it vulnerable to the 2026 housing slowdown, leaving many recent climate migrants in a precarious financial position they didn't anticipate when they moved. The data of 2026 shows a clear trend. Cheap states are no longer a refuge. As we've seen in Texas and Florida, the absence of income tax is often offset by high indirect taxes like insurance and credit distress. Meanwhile, high-value states like California and New York are pricing out the very workers they need to function. To survive this financially stressful era, the most important tool is not just a higher salary, but a radical focus on debt elimination and biological frugality.